We've all heard the worn-out jokes about lawyers from comedians, politicians, and even our friends. They refer to lawyers as opportunistic ambulance chasers who are only out to make a quick buck off someone else's suffering. These comments aren't innocuous as you might think. In fact, they were focused and developed as a highly financed, well-coordinated, decades-long smear campaign carried out by business interests, groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the biggest insurance corporations in the world. In 1971, Lewis Powell, before he became a justice on the United States Supreme Court, sent a memo to business and political leaders where he outlined what he believed were the challenges facing the business community coming from a group that he really did refer to as the New Leftists. Those were consumer groups. During Powell's entire career as a lawyer and a judge, he was a loyal servant to a system where interest of corporations was always superior to the interest of consumers who were victimized by those corporations. In his memo, Powell suggested that business groups, specifically the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, needed to come forward and direct campaigns in the media and by lobbying politicians to paint anti-corporatist groups like trial lawyers and consumer groups and environmental groups as enemies of democracy who were only out to serve themselves. By the 1980s, the campaign was well underway, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the insurance industry was leading the charge to discredit, dehumanize, and vilify trial lawyers, consumer lawyers, EPA opponents, you name it. They had a list, and the list was anybody who messed with corporate America, because those people were the only ones holding corporations accountable when they killed or crippled consumers or destroyed our environment or stole money from mom and pop pension programs. And sadly, the public was willing to buy into those lies. The Chamber of Commerce created a new department. They called it the Institute for Legal Reform. This group was created to be the attack dog of big business and Republicans, and their only job was to go after trial lawyers and consumer groups and environmental groups for two reasons. First of all, for example, the first reason was because business didn't want to pay for their crimes. And the second is that at the time, for example, trial lawyers were the largest donor group of the Democratic Party. It was a trend that only ended once Citizens United allowed Wall Street bankers to buy the loyalty of Democrats, which is what we have today. Once the Chamber and their allies in the political world smeared the image of trial lawyers as a whole, they began to target specific attorneys, specific law firms who had gone toe-to-toe with corrupt corporations in Wall Street, in environmental issues, and pharmaceutical against the drug companies. In a report issued by the Institute for Legal Reform in October 2013, the group specifically listed law firms and individual lawyers who they believe posed the biggest threat to their money, is the way they put it. The attacks from corporate interest groups and politicians took a sinister turn. In the last few years, they've provided just a small glimpse of what corporations really want to accomplish. And that's put consumer trial lawyers behind bars, along with environmentalists who want to change the way that corporations invade our environment, along with the folks who are going after Wall Street bankers. And you think about it, that leaves only government regulatory agencies such as the dysfunctional FDA, the SEC, and the EPA to keep corrupt corporations honest, as if they're really going to do that. And then, of course, there's America's corporate media that today is fully owned, fully operated by huge corporate advertisers who threaten to pull billions in advertising dollars from places like ABC, NBC, or CBS if those corporate media types go too far in protecting consumers against corrupt corporations. This continues to build. You've got Chamber of Commerce that every day is coming out against a new attack with against consumer trial lawyers, consumer leaders of consumer organizations. And the only thing we can do is understand we're never going to hear those stories from corporate media.
For more videos from Mike Papantonio on America's Lawyer, you can check out rt.com/shows or visit theringofire.com.